What is up, guys? Sean here with Shaman. What is that? Why'd I do that? Sean here with Shaman Entertainment. Today, we're gonna put the iPhone 10 against the Samsung Note 8. They're gonna battle it out, spec for spec. This is Mortal Gadget. Before we get started, if you did purchase a Note 8, I do have a video out there talking about the accessories that I recommend. A link to that video will be in the description below. We have a ton to go over for the iPhone 10 specs and the Note 8 specs, so let's jump in. And the first thing I want to talk about is the screen. The screen on the Note 8 is a 6.3-inch 2960 by 1440 Quad HD Plus Super AMOLED display with HDR Premium on it. It has an 18:5:9 aspect ratio. That means if you're watching videos in full, you'll either have two black bars on each side, or you're gonna cut a little bit off the top and a little bit off the bottom if you hold your phone horizontal. The screen also has 521 ppi, which is pixels per inch. Samsung calls this the infinity display because it goes edge to edge, side to side, and goes pretty much all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom, except for the little tiny chin and forehead on the device. The screen does curve a little bit on the edges as well. Some people like this, some people don't. I personally like it. I think it's the perfect form factor for using the stylus personally. Lastly, the screen has a brightness of 1200 nits.
There's no way that could be right! It can't!
1200. Using your phone outside with sunlight? Not a problem. All right, let's talk about the iPhone 10 screen. It has a Super Retina 5.8 HD screen. It's a 2436 by 1125 OLED HDR screen. The screen is a little bit smaller, but it does have 458 ppi. If you ignore the top portion where that little cutout is at on the top of the screen, it has about the same aspect ratio as the Note 8, 18:5:9. The screen does go edge to edge, but the device isn't necessarily bezel-less. It doesn't have the forehead or that chin on the Note 8, but it still does have slightly thicker bezels, and the screen does not curve around the device like it does on the Note 8. Lastly, it does have a maximum screen brightness of 625 nits. Based on that information alone, Samsung does have the better screen. And this shouldn't come as a surprise. Samsung makes awesome screens, they always have. Moving on. Capacity. Yeah, that is something that we should talk about. I don't care about cloud storage. I don't care about iCloud and Google Photos. Let's talk about the internal storage on each device. Depending on the country that you live in, the Note 8 comes in a 64, 128, and a 256. Here in the US, it's available in the 64 gig model. All the devices do have an expandable memory card slot. The iPhone 10 comes in a 64 gig and a 256 gig variant. Two good options, neither of them have expandable memory. And I'm gonna have to give this round to the Note 8. 64 gigs with expandable memory is a good option, since you can buy expandable memory for relatively cheap. In fact, I'll have a link below in the description to a 256 gig card that I recommend. Next up, let's talk about the price. Currently, the Note 8 does come in under $1,000 for $929. It is pretty pricey. The iPhone 10 does come in under $1,000 as well, but it's $999. Another one goes to the Samsung Note 8. Mobile security. The Note 8 has a ton of different ways to secure your device. It has a fingerprint scanner, which honestly isn't really located in the best place. Pattern, PIN, or password unlock, iris scanner, and face recognition. The iPhone 10, you get two options here. Face ID using their True Depth camera or a PIN. So just those two. Touch ID is completely gone on the iPhone 10. No idea why they didn't just make the Apple logo on the back of the device Touch ID. That round clearly goes to the Note 8 because there are so many options and so many different ways you can unlock your phone. Are we doing the camera? This is a big one for me, their cameras. Let's start with the Note 8. On the front of the device, you get an 8 megapixel camera. And on the back of the device, you get two 12 megapixel cameras, a telephoto and a wide. The telephoto lens has a 2.4 f-stop, while the wide is a 1.7 f-stop. Both of these cameras have OIS, optical image stabilization. I can't say that. Optical image stabilization. A really cool feature that these cameras have is live focus, so you can adjust the focus after you take the picture. This allows you to, after you take the picture, adjust the background focus, so you can blur it out or decrease the blur. I use it on my Note 8, and honestly, the pictures come out awesome. Live focus is kind of similar to portrait mode. The difference here is that you can adjust the focus later on. And you can also see what the picture would have looked like with the other camera just by tapping. For video recording, the Note 8 does 4K at 30 frames per second, 1080p at 60 or 30. For slow motion, you get 720p at 240 frames per second. And it does offer digital image stabilization. Pretty good. Let's talk about the cameras on the iPhone 10. For the front-facing camera, Apple is calling it their True Depth camera. It's a 7 megapixel camera with a 2.2 f-stop. Something very interesting and pretty damn cool is the front-facing camera does shoot 1080p and offers portrait mode and portrait lighting. More on that in a second. The back of the device has two 12 megapixel cameras. Again, a wide and telephoto. Both cameras also have optical image stabilization. Got it that time. Spit on myself. And they also have portrait mode with portrait lighting. And portrait lighting is amazing. So what is portrait lighting? It's a way to add studio lighting digitally to a photograph you took. Now when the phone does launch, portrait lighting will still be in beta. Video recording on the iPhone 10. Holy shit. I honestly can't believe it. When I heard this at the conference, this blew my mind. The iPhone X shoots 4K video, not just in 24, not just in 30, but in 60 frames per second. Most DSLRs, and to be honest, I can't even think of a DSLR that could do that. That is ridiculous. And then it gets even better. For 1080p, you get 30, 60, 120, and 240 frames per second. So yes, it's absolutely safe to say beast mode when it comes to camera capabilities on the iPhone X. The winner of that round is obviously the iPhone X. Holy shit for those video capabilities. For photography, I'm not really sure, but portrait lighting looks awesome on it. Without a question, the iPhone X. Okay, let's talk about water resistance. The Samsung Note 8 is rated at an IP68 rating. That means it is dust and water resistant. And it also means that the device could be submerged into water about 1.5 meters for 30 minutes. So you could get some underwater photography and not worry about your device going bad. Don't take my advice on that. Do your research. If you want to do it, that's on you. The S Pen included with the Note 8 is also rated at IP68. The iPhone X, it has a rating of IP67 for dust and water resistance. That makes the device splash proof, but it definitely should not be submerged into water. And that round does go to the Note 8 because it can technically be submerged into water. Let's talk about RAM. The iPhone X sports 3 gigs of RAM while the Note 8 sports 6 gigs of RAM. Now I know this is kind of a touchy subject because iOS doesn't require as much RAM as Android devices do, but 6 gigs of RAM is still a hell of a lot of RAM, and it's double the iPhone X. I don't have an iPhone X to compare it to the speed of a Samsung Note 8. Okay, maybe we'll leave this one off the boards. Battery. Samsung is pretty clear about the battery that they include in this device. It's a 3300 milliamp battery. I have a Note 8 and I do notice that I have to charge my phone at least once throughout the day. Apple doesn't really specify the milliamps of the batteries they include in their devices, but they are saying it's supposed to last up to 2 hours longer than I think they were saying in an iPhone 7, whatever that means. For now, I'm gonna have to leave this one off the boards because I can't really compare it to anything. Let's talk features. And emojis. I think those are kind of cool. I have a feeling they're gonna be pretty annoying. I'm not really interested in them. iPhone X also has, since it's an Apple device, Siri and stereo speakers, which I think that's a really big deal. I cannot believe that the Note 8 does not have stereo speakers. They're still sticking with mono. That's not saying that it's a bad speaker, but it's kind of weird that it doesn't have stereo speakers yet. For the Note 8, the S Pen. Some people say they would never use a stylus, but once they start using a Note, they say, damn, this thing is pretty cool. And it is. Being able to just pop your pen out whenever and just start jotting down a note, that's sweet to me. I have one extra option for an assistant, so I also have Bixby. I know it's not that popular right now, but I have been using it and I think it's pretty cool. Another feature that Samsung offers is compatibility with the Gear VR, while Apple has AR, which is augmented reality. Now, augmented reality is still kind of new, so I don't think there's gonna be too much support there. Whereas on here I have Netflix and a ton of other features. Apple has their A11 Bionic chip, Samsung has Snapdragon super fast something. So for features, I'm gonna give it to Note 8 because those are the features that matter to me. All right, guys, that's it for this episode of Mortal Gadget. What did you guys think? Did I leave out any specs or features that you think I should have included? Leave a comment below and let me know. Will you be picking up an iPhone X or do you already have a Note 8? Do you like your Note 8? Are you thinking about getting an iPhone X? Do you think I was a little biased? And if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button or smash it or whatever it is that you do with it. And if you loved this video, be sure to subscribe to this channel. See you guys in the next one. I'm not a fanboy of the Samsung or the Note 8. If you guys are curious about any of the gear that I use, I do have links for them in the description below. They are my Amazon affiliate links, and if you choose to purchase from them, it will help support this YouTube channel. Also, I do have a Patreon link in my description. If you love this channel and want to see more, show me some love over there too. See you guys.